Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Board of Commission, regular City Hall, July 18th, 2023 at 4:30 p.m. We're going to begin with the invocation and pledge allegiance, and Commissioner Carlos Bailey is going to lead us in this endeavor.
I would ask everyone to stand up. Before I give the invocation, I just want to give like a brief background. So when I took the oath of office back in 2020, my wife and my daughters wrote an invocation for me. And at the time, I was like, no, because I heard everybody saying that they invited pastors instead of everybody else. So this time, it was Hope sent me a message like, Carlos, this is your month. Make sure you're ready. And I'm like, I didn't invite anybody. So at this time, I'm going to give that invocation that she wrote for me back when I first got elected. Bow our heads. As we gather here in this hall of democracy, we seek your wisdom and guidance, Lord. Illuminate our hearts and minds so our decisions reflect the true needs of our community. Remind us that we are stewards of this city, entrusted to serve with integrity, vision, and compassion. In all our deliberations, let respect be our compass and the public good be our destination. Inspire us to listen deeply, to speak with kindness, and to find unity in our diversity and division. Help us remember those most vulnerable among us, and to ensure their needs are considered and their voices are heard. May our actions this evening embody fairness, justice, and hope that fosters a community where every person can thrive. In all we do, let us be guided by the love and commitment to the well-being of all who call this city home. And I also want to include that we pray for everybody that's in this city, every city official, everybody that works for the city, and all our public servants, and everyone who's living in this city. We know that there are those that are hurting, but we want to make sure that we're here and we also see them. In Jesus' name, amen. I want everyone to turn to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Commissioner Bailey. Janika is a wise woman. Don't lose her. I have something before I turn it over to Jeff Meisel. I'd like to make an announcement. As mayor, I get good information that is received from our city employees, and this one came from a department, primarily our Department of Finance and Department of Accounting, and we received the highest form of recognition in the area of government accounting and financial reporting. Its attainment represents a significant accomplishment by our government and its management. The Government of Office Association of the United States has awarded the Certificate of Achievement of Excellence in Financial Reporting to the City of Bowling Green for its annual comprehensive financial report for the fiscal year ended June 30th, 2022. This report has been judged by an impartial panel to meet the highest standards of the program, which includes demonstrating a constructive spirit of full disclosure, to clearly communicate its financial story, and motivate potential users and user groups to read the report. But most importantly, it is the transparency in our government. And I want to applaud Jeff, your team, Katie Schaller-Ward, Debbie, our accounting, so all entire. So thank you very much. Congratulations. At this time, we'll have a roll call.
Commissioner Beasley Brown.
Here.
Commissioner Hill.
Here.
Commissioner Perigin.
Here.
Commissioner Bailey.
Here.
Mayor Alcott.
Here. Mr. Meisel, you have comments at this time.
Well, first of all, I'd like to recognize Erin Ballou. She's with us tonight, our assistant CFO, sitting in for Katie. Erin is a big part of that award, putting our financial statements together, and like to give her kudos and credit for all her work on that. So we'll submit it again this fall and go for the keep this thing rolling. We get what we call the Triple Crown. We get it for the CAFR, the budget, and the popular financial report. So we want to continue to do that. And it's kind of finance's way of accreditation in a way. So Appreciate all Aaron's work on that. It's a great job. Yes. Just a couple of things. First of all, some good news. Wanted to kind of pass along is Officer Matt Davis is doing lots better, recovering. Still in Nashville. Has been and moved to a rehab type unit now out of ICU. So making progress there after 6 or 7 surgeries. I've lost track of the surgery. So appreciate all the prayers from everyone around Bowling Green, Warren County. The event last Thursday was incredible at Soke Marketplace. I think they've raised over $50,000 in the GoFundMe, and just keep lifting up that family and Matt. And Matt is one tough dude, but he still needs prayers, and let's keep him in our thoughts and prayers going forward. One more thing, a couple more things, just my usual announcement. Anyone wanting to make public comments, please sign the register in the back of the room, and we'll take those up at the end of the regular session. And then finally, Mayor, I would like to request a late file for municipal order 2023-148, I believe it is. I need to add that to agenda, and if possible, I'd like to add it after item number 14, if that would be the will of the commission.
Mazel? Have a motion?
Moved. Second.
Moved from Commissioner Bailey, second from Commissioner Dana Beasley Brown. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm sorry. Roll call, please.
Beasley Brown,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Perigin.
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
Alcott.
Yes. Okay. Item number 15. Thank you, Mr. Mazel. Anything else, Mr. Mazel?
No, Mayor, thank you.
All right. Okay. Our first item of business is our approval of minutes, regular meeting, June 20th, 2023.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Commissioner Perigin, second by Commissioner Hill. Is there any discussion? Not this time. Roll call, please.
Beasley Brown,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Perigin.
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
Alcott.
Yes. Municipal order number 2023-134.
Municipal order approving the probationary appointment of Paul Stobbs to the position of Master Technician in the Public Works Department.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Commissioner Beasley Brown, second by Commissioner Hill. Mr. Mazel.
After a vacancy, we are in need of a master technician down at Fleet Division. I'd like to ask Lori Gray, our HR manager, to come up and make the recommendation.
Evening, Mayor, Commissioners. I would like to request the appointment of Master Technician to Paul Stobbs. He is, I'm sorry, I lost my thought. He has 14 years of automotive experience. He is a Master Technician. He has an associate's degree in applied science and is an ASE Master Certified mechanic. We are looking forward to adding him to our Fleet Division team, and he is here with us this evening.
Well, Paul, good to see you tonight. Okay, thank you very much. Any discussion? None? All right. Roll call, please.
Beasley Brown,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Perigin.
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
Alcott.
Yes, congratulations, Paul. Municipal order number 2023-135.
Municipal order authorizing and accepting bid number 2023-51 for network switches from Trace 3 LLC of Irvine, California in an amount not to exceed $80,205.52.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Commissioner Perigin, second by Commissioner Beasley Brown. Mr. Mazel.
IT department went out for bid for some equipment for some network switches. These include 13 transition network and 8 port switches, 24 Cisco Catalyst port switches, some hardware. Most of the stuff is going to be going out in the community to support our traffic signals, some security cameras, and some wireless access points in our parks. Winning bid was Trace 3 LLC for $80,205.52, recommending that this bid be awarded to them. And just a reminder, this bid was fully funded by the Homeland Security grant we got in 2022. So great job by IT putting all this together. Danita Weeks, our IT director, is here, can answer any questions you might have on this one.
Thank you, Mr. Mizel. Questions, comments? None. Roll call, please.
Beasley Brown.
Yes.
Hill.
Yes.
Perigin.
Yes.
Bailey.
Yes.
Alcott.
Yes. Municipal order number 2023-136.
Municipal order authorizing and accepting the Duncan Hines Days partnership with Soki Marketplace through a sole source in an amount not to exceed $65,000.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Perigin, second by Commissioner Bailey. Mr. Mizel.
I'd like to call Brent Childers up as he's coming up. I'd like to just say we think the first year of the Duncan Hines Days was a huge success. Roughly 16,000 people downtown, 28 different states represented. I don't want to steal your thunder, Brent.
No,
but,
keep going. Preach on.
Really, really good start, but we did have some help, and I'll let Brent
Yeah.
explain.
So for an inaugural year, I think it was a great success. I think we all had a great time on a week-long celebration of Duncan Hines. It was more than just cake mix. It had Dolly Parton too. So anytime Dolly's involved, you know it's going to be a good day. But also there's a business side to all of this, right? The city raised money. We received about $80,000 in corporate sponsorships. But you know, you had to pay for production, you had to pay for talent, you had to pay for these other things. And those expenses were really borne by the Soki Marketplace, our chief partner, our chief strategic partner in Duncan Hines Days between the city and Soki Marketplace. So Sarah Klein and Tessa Norris were really integral in that. And so really the action tonight before you all is just approving us to transfer the money to cover the expenses that they bore as an organization for this event. And so in the future, we expect this partnership to continue. We'll probably change up some of the timing and the frequency of things for next year, but we want this event to continue to grow. We appreciate the leadership that Soki Marketplace put on this. I also want to thank my staff that played an integral role here, Ms. Talia Butler, Emily Angel, and Karen Foley that are here tonight too. But it wasn't just those 5 people. You have Cameron Levis here as part of the Recreation Committee. We have people from the Planning Commission. We have people from County Parks and Rec. This is a community event. So this is not just the city's event. This is the community's event. This was meant to be an event for the community, and it was an event for the community. It was the first time we've held such a large community event, but it doesn't mean it's going to be the last. We're going to keep growing. We're going to keep pushing forward because that's what we do in this community. We keep things moving forward. So with that, I'll entertain any questions approving the transference for Soki Marketplace.
Thank you very much, Brent. It was a community event that was celebrated, and basically, what's interesting about this is no one was left out. If you wanted to participate in some way, form, or fashion, that was available, and we'll continue to grow that, and we appreciate you and your team for leading this effort. So congratulations and well done. All right, Commissioner.
I have a quick question, Todd, if that's
Absolutely.
okay. I want to echo the same thing. It was great. I participated, and it was a lot of fun, and yeah, everybody was included. So we received $80,000 in sponsorships, corporate
I think
sponsorships? And-
Yes, they're
and-
telling me yes.
And our costs were 65?
No,
Is that what I'm hearing?
no, our costs were more than 65.
Okay,
Soki Marketplace cost
okay.
were just under 65,000. There was some of this that also went through the city's financial ledgers too. This is just the Soki Marketplace
I didn't want
cost.
for
No,
the citizens to
no.
think that we're
We did not
profiting.
net $15,000 out of
Thank
this.
you.
That is for sure.
Right, so somehow we're profiting off of throwing
No,
these
no.
community-wide events. Everything was at no cost, I guess, unless you wanted to eat at a food truck or something, but it was really a lot of fun. It brought a lot of people together, and that's what we really want to continue to do. My question is also, have you had many sponsorship commitments moving forward? Like, I really loved it, I want to be a part next year?
So
Are we
what they
looking-
tell me, we've already had some renewals for year 2. So I think they were very pleased with the turnout, the quality of the event, you know, the size of the event, really what the event turned into. So some of our large corporate partnerships have said, yep, we're on board for year 2. So we want to keep that momentum going, but obviously, we're always looking for corporate sponsorships
ones.
for Duncan Hines Day. So if anybody out there wants to sponsor something as part of Duncan Hines Days, let us know, and we will set up a conversation to see what opportunities for sponsorship are available.
Perfect answer, Brent, thank you.
There you go. Anyone else? Thank
further questions. Roll call, please.
Beasley Brown.
Yes.
Hill.
Yes.
Perigin.
Yes.
Bailey.
Yes.
Alcott.
Yes. Municipal order number 2023-137.
Municipal order authorizing the purchase of Titleist golf products for Crosswinds and Paul Walker golf courses and Hobson Golf Course and Driving Range through non-competitive negotiations with Titleist of Chicago, Illinois, in an amount not to exceed $100,000.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner Perigin. Mr. Mizel.
So we are not buying $100,000 worth of golf balls. This does, Titleist owns several companies, FootJoy, Pinnacle, lots of things. So, but this is to supply 3 golf courses with merchandise as we need to throughout the year. And Brent Belcher is here to answer any questions on this, but this is roughly 60% of this is, I think, golf balls. So everybody wants to play with Titleist golf balls, and they're our main vendor. So ask for your approval. This is all in the budget for golf.
Thank you, Mr. Mizel. Questions? None. Roll call, please.
Beasley Brown.
Yes.
Hill.
Yes.
Perigin.
Yes.
Bailey.
Yes.
Alcott.
Yes. Municipal order number 2023-138.
Municipal order authorizing the purchase of fiscal year 2024 turf management chemicals and agents for the Parks and Recreation Department through non-competitive negotiations with various vendors in the total amount not to exceed $200,000.
Second.
By Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner Perigin. Mr. Mizel.
So for efficiency sake, we don't have time to bid out every single little fertilizer or weed killer that we need. So we work with these companies listed here: Advanced Turf Solutions, Pro Solutions, Harold's Tin Barge, Site One, and Automatic Irrigation to buy supplies for the golf courses for the turf maintenance, chemicals, fertilizer when we need it. And so this is a authorization for parks maintenance and golf to use these at golf courses and Lovers Lane Soccer Complex, as well as Preston Miller Park, to buy up to $200,000 worth of supplies in timely fashion at the right time when it's time to put it down. So Brent Belcher is here again to answer any questions you might have.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mizel. Commissioners, questions? None. Roll call, please.
Beasley Brown.
Yes.
Hill.
Yes.
Perigin.
Yes.
Bailey.
Yes.
Alcott.
Yes. Municipal order number 2023-139.
Municipal order approving a contract through cooperative purchase with Don Franklin Auto of Somerset, Kentucky under Kentucky State Pricing Contract for the purchase of police vehicles for the police department in the amount of $736,722.
So moved.
Second.
By Commissioner Perigin, second by Commissioner Beasley Brown. Mr. Mizel.
This is our annual bid for police cars, cruisers, and this will actually be the last year we can get the Dodge Chargers, so we're trying to load up on them. As you can see, we have located 19. We found them off the Kentucky State Master Agreement, and Don Franklin happened to be the lowest bid on that state pricing agreement, and so we are recommending Don Franklin. We're going to get 15 23s and 4 of the 22 police Dodge Chargers. So Deputy Chief Penny Bowles is here with us tonight, can answer any questions you might have on this, but we're hoping to get these in pretty soon.
Thank you, Mr. Mizel. Commissioners? Roll call, please.
Beasley Brown.
Yes.
Hill.
Yes.
Perigin.
Yes.
Bailey.
Yes.
Alcott.
Yes. Municipal order number 2023-140.
Municipal order approving contracts through cooperative purchase and non-competitive negotiations with Best One Fleet Service of Bowling Green, Kentucky, BG Muffler of Bowling Green, Kentucky, and Ziegler Tire and Supply Company of Massillon, Ohio, under Kentucky State Pricing Contracts for the purchase of tires for the Public Works Department Fleet Division in the total amount not to exceed $70,000.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Beasley Brown, second by Commissioner Hill. Mr. Mizel.
So, in case you didn't know, we have over 600 pieces of equipment and vehicles that we maintain and take care of now with Fleet. And with those, we need tires. And so, and when we need tires, we need them now. And so we can't go out and stock up a big warehouse full of tires. So we have elected to go similar to what we just did, to purchase tires from selected vendors. And in your packet tonight is approval to go and use Best One Fleet, BG Muffler, Ziegler Tire, all local authorized vendors to buy tires from. We have all shapes and sizes, and there are a few pieces that require Michelin brand tires on them. So we will be purchasing those as well from these 3 different vendors, depending on what their inventory is and their prices. But all that's taken care of by our fleet division. And so we ask for approval to purchase up to, I think it's 70,000 from these 3 vendors as we need them. And Andy Souza, our Public Works Director, is with us tonight. Can answer any questions you might have on this item.
Thank you, Mr. Mizel. Commissioners? No questions. Roll call, please.
Beasley Brown.
Yes.
Hill.
Yes.
Perigin.
Yes.
Bailey.
Yes.
Alcott.
Yes. Municipal order number 2023-141.
Municipal order authorizing the purchase of replacement parts for the Public Works Department Fleet Division through non-competitive negotiations with various vendors in the total amount of $131,500.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Perigin, second by Commissioner Beasley Brown. Mr. Mizel.
Similar to tires, we need automotive supplies, and when we need them now, and we can't, again, stock up a big warehouse full of supplies. So we have gone out and looked and shopped and found some non-competitive negotiations with Ken Smith Auto, O'Reilly, Advance Auto Parts, Windsor Corporation Truck Pro, to buy these supplies when we need them in a timely manner. And so we are asking your approval to work with these vendors. And at total amount we're estimating, we've got budgeted at $131,500 for the fleet division. Again, Andy Souza, Public Works Director, is here, can answer questions on this item as well.
Mr. Mizel, questions or comments? Nothing? Roll call, please.
Beasley Brown.
Yes.
Hill.
Yes.
Perigin.
Yes.
Bailey.
Yes.
Alcott.
Yes. Municipal order number 2023-142.
Municipal order approving the promotions of Alan Bush to the position of engineer and Jeremy Maynard to the position of captain in the fire department.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Beasley Brown, second by Commissioner Bailey. Mr. Mizel.
We recently had a vacancy to occur in our fire department. I'd like to ask Chief Justin Brooks to come up and make his recommendations to fill that and promote up from there. Chief?
Good evening, Mayor, Board of Commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity. Tonight, we win. This is a great day for our department. With a recent resignation, brings opportunity for a couple within our organization. The 2 men that I bring before you today embody the values that this organization stands by, with honor, integrity, and professionalism. Both men have competed and were successful, being the #1 candidate in the promotional process, but it goes far beyond a test score. Both men bring a body of work worthy of promotion. People will follow them, and more than that, they're servant leaders. And for that, we love tonight, because tonight we win. Tonight, Engineer Maynard, if you will stand, it's my recommendation that we promote him to captain. He started in this city in 2014, and he has led multiple efforts in and through this department and for these citizens. And just recently, he was the command officer up in Cave City at a trench rescue, one that was successful, and it's because of his leadership. He doesn't need rank to be followed to be a leader, but he carries that within the organization. We're excited about his development. Firefighter Alan Bush, tonight we recommend him for the promotion of engineer. He started in this city in 2018. Both men are ready. They have my full confidence, and it's for the reason I have these two that I have the excitement for the future of our service to the citizens. With these 2 men and their leadership abilities, we can go to another level. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. Both of them have their families with them as well.
Alan, would you like to introduce your family while you're standing here? Nice. How long you been on the fire department? All right. All right, thank you, Alan.
I guess
Jeremy?
I'll forgive you for stealing one of our best teachers from the junior high.
Jeremy, you want to stand up and introduce your family, please? How many years have you been in the fire department? 9. Well, those come with some mighty fine recommendations from the chief. He's pretty proud of you, you can tell.
I want to echo that. I've known your wife, Jeremy, for 15 years. Matter of fact, just a little story. Miss Maynard actually taught one of my daughters. I have 4 daughters. Yeah, you taught 2 of them. But she broke the news to my mother that my wife was pregnant with our 3rd daughter at the time. Which.
So I congratulated Grandma on Mom's
Pregnancies. Yeah, but I can tell you everything that you have been through, and I know like just Jeremy, it's the leadership that you have, not even just like with the Bowling Green Fire Department, but with your family. That shows something that you take commitment seriously, and it shows that you want to make sure that you have all your ducks in a row and stuff. And Mr. Bush, I don't know you, but I'm sure your wife is here, and you're an educator as well. Used to be, well, I'm sure you the same way as well. But I want to congratulate personally for both of you just being here and on your promotions.
All right, commissioners, ready to make this official? Roll call, please.
Beasley Brown,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Perigin,
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
Alcott.
Yes, congratulations, captains. Municipal order number 2023-143.
Municipal order authorizing the submission of a grant application and acceptance of grant funds from the U.S. Department of Justice, Bureau of Justice Assistance, Office of Justice Programs for fiscal year 2023 Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant funds in the amount of $34,183.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Commissioner Perigin, second by Commissioner Beasley Brown. Mr. Mizel.
City's been receiving this Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant for some time. We were notified that we can apply for this $34,183, split it 50-50 with the county. There is no match on this grant. It's a really good grant we've been getting for some time. Our share, of course, would be $17,092, and we would like to spend that on some digital in-car cameras for 3 police cars. So again, Deputy Chief Bowles is here, can answer any questions you have on this. I think Mr. Cook, Nick, is here as well, worked on this, and recommend that we approve.
Thank you, Mr. Mizel. Questions? Okay, no questions at this time. Roll call.
Beasley Brown,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Perigin,
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
Alcott.
Yes. Municipal order number 2023-144.
Municipal order authorizing the acceptance of Homeland Security grant funds through the Federal Emergency Management Agency fiscal year 2022 Assistance to Firefighters Grant Program in the amount of $110,974.54 for equipment for the fire department.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Beasley Brown, second by Commissioner Bailey. Mr. Mizel.
This was a great an award that we got here. $110,974.54. Only had to put up a 10% match on this one, and it's going to go toward providing 17 new firefighters and 9 existing with 26 sets of turnout gear, which those aren't cheap. So this really helps with budget. Also, with this money, we think we can get 4 sets of self-contained breathing apparatuses and some air packs and air cylinders, and that all these will be going to equip the new fire truck up at the Transpark station when it's in place. Chief Brooks had to step out, but try to answer any questions you might have on this, but it's free money, pretty much.
Thank you, Mr. Mizel. Commissioners?
Take free money.
Thanks again, Nick, for all your work
Yes.
on getting these grants for us. We appreciate you.
Right, roll call, please.
Beasley Brown.
Yes.
Hill.
Yes.
Perigin.
Yes.
Bailey.
Yes.
Alcott.
Yes. Municipal order number 2023-145.
Municipal order authorizing the submission of an application for Kentucky Community Development Block Grant Coronavirus Community Project funding to the Kentucky Department for Local Government in an amount up to $250,000.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Perigin, second by Commissioner Beasley Brown. Mr. Mizel.
So this is another great opportunity. We keep uncovering CARES money. Nick does, unused CDBG CV money. This is $250,000 we would like to go after, and this has no match again. Great grant. And I'd like to call up Matt Powell just briefly to explain what all we're going to use this for. This is going towards the Jennings Creek project that we're doing with the outdoor classroom and a lot of other things. This thing just keeps growing and growing and growing, and I'm going to let Matt speak to what all this is going to go to.
Absolutely. Thanks for your time tonight. As Jeff alluded to, that particular project continues to grow and expand. More and more facets become exposed, and somebody's always eager to come along and polish them. So we've got an outdoor classroom. Looks like we're going to be able to do some things with the floodplains. There are going to be some improvement. Dovetail that in with an additional project that we've got. Nick reached out, said, hey, we've got some grant funding. Do you think we might be able to come up with something where we can fit this into what's going on? Taking what Cameron and Carissa Lemon had put together in terms of ideas. We're working with MKSK on a master plan for this entire Creekwood Greenways that's going to develop a lot of different ideas and a lot of opportunities. And what we have done for this grant is taken one of those that we think is most likely, one of the ones that we really, really like the sound of, and basically just run that through a preliminary design, came up with the cost estimate to get all that together so that we can do this. I think some of you know, maybe some of you don't, that there are additional announcements coming for additional components of this park, and so all credit to Cameron Levis and Carissa Lemon for having the ideas. I'm just a guy touching wires together and see which ones get hot, and I'm glad to be a part of this project. It's really going to impact this community in a positive way.
Thank you, Matt. This is exciting. I know from the get-goes, the schools were very interested in creating something, you know, out of the storm and creating something that the community can continue to use, and I think that's a perfect location.
We've hit upon one recurring theme with each of the things that we're discussing, and that is that we're not trying to erase anything. We're not trying to pretend things didn't occur there that were incredibly tragic, but we're trying to do things with the space such that the things that we do with the space are the first thing you think of. So when you come to this place, you'll see what this community has surrounded us with and what they've made available to us, and you say, wow, isn't this an amazing place where blank exists? And some of the history of that place is maybe the second or third thing you think of.
I think it's wonderful, and I've been down there a couple times now with all of you all, and it's, while it's not a, it's not a memorial, it's not, but it's a tribute to those folks that really got the brunt. And I think for years to come, that's going to be, it's just really a beautiful spot. If anybody hasn't been down there and wants to, park in the back of the Jennings Creek Elementary School and go down to the Greenways, and you'll see it's been retreed, and it is just a really beautiful, beautiful place.
There are so many people to thank. Rotary Club, jumped in the beginning, got some things kicked off. WKU Changes, Nick,
Rotary Club.
Carissa, Cameron. It's like I said, I'm just touching wires together, trying to make sure, make lights come on, make things happen. But it's been a tremendous amount of fun to be involved with a project where everyone who hears about it, everyone who sees a piece of it says, yes, I'd like to do that. Scotty's, of course, donated the entire first half of the work, so it's been an incredible experience.
And isn't the beginning of this a $20,000 grant from the Rotary Club here locally?
That's exactly right. So
it started with $20,000, and now it's hundreds of thousands, and That's how this community works.
My first experience with it was participating with Cameron and Carissa at a Greenways grand opening event, and hearing Cameron dream about the space, hearing Cameron dream about what it could be, and Carissa dream about what it could be. Of course, it's the kind of space that I also enjoy with the things that I do, and so a year ahead of the storm, that's when I heard about this, and then, of course, time stopped for us for a while as we recovered, and now here we are coming back to those dreams, and it's a whole other thing. It's been a tremendously rewarding experience.
And I saw Cameron's vision, PowerPoint vision, and I think it's already exceeded that, Cameron. Honestly, you're gonna have to redo that.
Yeah, I would love it if Cameron could maybe share a little bit about the natural play area that we're hoping to, or go ahead.
That's one of those pockets of information
Oh, got it.
that we'll love to circle back to in a couple of
Got it.
weeks.
Sorry.
For now, this particular part, this is the boardwalk over the wetlands area.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this is an elevated boardwalk. It'll spur off of the existing Creekwood Greenways path, go out over the wetlands area, educational opportunities, all sorts of things, just a place to be outside and experience a bit of a different kind of a path. The funds that we're looking at for CDBG, that'll be the enhancement that we're making with these funds.
I want to echo, I guess, the thanks to you, Matt, Cameron, and Carissa, and everybody that's been a part of it. We know that like that day for December 11th, December 12th of 2021 was a devastating day. But it also, this park is not only just, it's given an honor, but also a reminder of what that looked like that day. So hopefully we don't never have to experience, I pray in our lifetime we never have to experience that again. But it also gives, an honor to the people that were lost. So one of those members that were lost actually went to my sister's church. So I knew some of those family members because they were mainly two families that mainly died on that devastating day. It was more than just those families, but the impact of those two families hit very hard. So having those things and having it for educational purposes is going to help teach our community for the future, but it's also just going to be an honor towards their memories.
The work that Scotty's has done, I'd invite you guys to go down and take a look at that. That'll be paved very soon, but that's an outdoor classroom and a streamside restoration. The streamside restoration was done to repair some of the damage that was done during the recovery efforts.
Thank you, Matt. Okay, no further questions. Roll call, please.
Beasley Brown,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Perigin,
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
Alcott.
Yes. Municipal order number 2023-146.
Municipal order authorizing the Intermodal Transportation Authority, Inc. to contract with Palmer Engineering for right-of-way acquisition of properties necessary for the Freeport Road Improvement Project on behalf of the City of Bowling Green, and authorizing appropriate city officials to execute deeds, easements, and other documents related to land acquisition necessary for the project.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Perigin, second by Commissioner Hill. Mr. Meisel.
So when we were trying to court AESC battery plant to come here to Bowling Green, Warren County, the state committed to do $7 million of improvement for the Freeport Road, which is the road just the other side of the Transpark, which has been annexed. So we own the road. It is ours. It's getting ready to be widened. And the ITA is coming to us tonight proposing to use Palmer Engineering to perform the right-of-way acquisition for this project. And since we're the legal owner of the property that the road sits on, they're coming to us for permission to proceed with this project. So Meredith Rosansky is here with us tonight in the audience and can answer any questions you might have on this. But this will improve Freeport from 31W all the way to the site of AESC. Have to stop and not call them Envision anymore, but it's Envision battery plant now called AESC. It would take it all the way to their property. I think it's going to be a 3-lane with curb and gutter, a nice stretch of road improvement to handle the heavy trucks that are going to be traveling on that currently old farm road that's out there. So recommend approval.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Meisel. Commissioners?
But speak a little bit about the Transpark, and Jeff and I are both on that board, and Melinda served the Transpark for a lot of years. It's truly an amazing development out there. Meredith, we got an opportunity to welcome Harbor Steel opening last Thursday. It was a wonderful, wonderful event. And I took the opportunity to drive around the Transpark, and it's incredible. The AESC battery plant is ominous. You turn the corner, and that thing is only one building of 4, and it's massive. And then the OI Glass, and then the Tyson, and then Crown's back there, and on what we've done. One last thing I'll say about that is I had an opportunity to provide a site visit to a land acquisition guy for national things, and we traveled this town, and it took me 6 hours to go around and show him all of the different things that were going on where there's opportunities for commercial investment, we'd say. And that was one of them, and it was just incredible. So that was a great day for Sue. And, you know, you hear about all this, but actually driving site to site to site and really seeing it, and that AESC is incredible.
It's 1.6 million square feet. It's,
Right on.
it's a sight to behold.
Drive out there and look at it. And there's lots of other things going on out there in tandem to that. That's not the only thing. So I love going to the meetings, and I think we have one Thursday, and listening to all the incredible things that are coming.
This road, the reason why the state agreed to improve it is, you know, obviously, you know, during the pandemic, you guys invested in a new bond issue, so we were able to purchase the Wilson Farm, and then for this project, we purchased the Talgrave Farm. So basically, in about a 2-year span of time, we doubled the size of the Transpark and filled it. And so that's adding exponentially more jobs, so we need a lot more ingress and egress from the park. So we have the 6880 improvements that are going on to Fred Madison that will connect into the Production Avenue in the Transpark, so that will provide another exit. And then once Freeport Road is improved, that will provide an exit for that battery plant, because there'll be, you know, several thousand jobs just with that facility alone.
I hope they stagger their shifts.
It's going to be a lot more people out there, that's for sure. But, you know, there's already plans to widen 31W further, so we're building for it.
Thank you, Meredith. Thanks, Sue, for the update. Commissioners, any further questions? It's exciting that the continuation of our big risk and investment 2 years ago, we were kind of like gulping at the expense of it, but how fast it's come to fruition, so it's incredible. All right,
Exciting news tomorrow, stay tuned.
roll call, please.
Beasley Brown.
Yes.
Hill.
Yes.
Perigin.
Yes.
Bailey.
Yes.
Alcott.
Yes. Municipal order number 2023-147.
Municipal order approving the reappointment of Greg Cottle to the Bowling Green Historic Preservation Board.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner Perigin. Mr. Cottle has served honorably on this board, and I asked him if he'd want to continue to serve, and he would like to continue to serve on the Historic Preservation Board, and I recommend his continuation. Okay, roll call, please.
Beasley Brown.
Yes.
Hill.
Yes.
Perigin.
Yes.
Bailey.
Yes.
Alcott.
Yes. Municipal order number 2023-148.
Municipal order approving amendments to the Administrative Personnel Policy and Procedures Manual related to injury leave compensation.
So moved.
Second.
By Commissioner B. Brown, second by Commissioner Hill. Mr. Mizel.
So, as you know, we had a serious on-the-job injury accident with Officer Davis, which we realize now when you go on workers' comp for a long period of time, there are unintended consequences to that with insurance, covering for your family members, retirement. And so we did a little research, and we're kind of tipped off about the way the state police operates when they have an injured officer. And so they had a program that you basically swap out your workers' comp pay for regular pay. And so Hillary went to work and did some research with KLC. We found that there are other cities that have done this, and it is permissible under law. And so what we are proposing to do is amend or revise 2 paragraphs in the workers' comp policy that's in your packets in the late file, which basically gives this as an option for someone that is going to be long-term recovery, where they won't have to pay out of pocket when they're not drawing a paycheck, because workers' comp is basically a straight-up pay without any taxes withheld, but you have no coverage for your insurance, no retirement happening. And so basically, this would allow an option for someone that gets injured on the job. This is not just for a police or a fireman. This could be any department that gets injured on the job very seriously. We've listed examples of what that would be with multiple broken bones or serious injury. And so we're going to write this, proposing to put this in the policy as an alternative, and would like for you all to consider this for benefit of any employee that gets injured that's going to be out for a lengthy period of time. So we're setting it up. It would go for 3 months. At the end of those 3 months, we would reevaluate. We're always in communication with the doctors. But we would reevaluate to see what we need to do after those 3 months. But this, we feel like, is the right thing to do for our employees that are, especially our public safety employees that are risking their lives and for some reason get injured in a serious accident on the job. They're not losing time for retirement, and they're not having to, this would prevent them having to come up with money out of their pocket to keep insurance for their family members. So we would like to make this revision to our policy. Aaron Holsey is here, I believe, with us. Hillary helped me with this. Dave Weisbro was a great help with this as well, and I would like for you all to consider this and approve if possible.
My understanding, the sheriff's department operates like this too. That's
Possibly, yeah, most likely, being
Well,
under the state.
state police, the sheriff's department, and now us,
Right.
if it's approved.
Mr. Mizel, kudos to your team for rallying on this situation. You know, right now, Officer Davis doesn't have to worry about losing time towards his retirement when he's had 18 years on the service. He doesn't have to worry about you know, income not coming in when he's supporting his 3 boys. You know, I talked to him Saturday. He wants to come back. He's ready, and when he's when he's willing. And I know for a fact he's got a long road, but he's resilient, and he's loves serving the city and loved being a Bowling Green police officer. So it's pretty incredible what he's enduring and what he's doing to come back to be with us.
You think most of the time your workers' comp is going to roughly be around 66% of your pay. That's the basic calculation. So when you compare that to your take-home pay, most of the time you're going to come up a little short. Plus, you're going to be out these other expenses that would be automatically deducted from your paycheck. So we felt like this is the fair thing to do when it's not like something when you get injured off the job that you do something silly at home or, you know, something you should have been doing. But this is an injury on the job that's unavoidable. So we think this is the fair thing to do.
I also want to just thank the team involved for just being a workplace and an employer that is thinking about their employees as human beings first. And I know so many times that, you know, as employees, it can feel like you're invisible or a cog in a wheel, and that you all would think about these small things in his recovery about how to make sure that we're taking care of him and his family in these ways. It's just speaks so much about the culture and the value that you have on all our employees, and that you're thinking about them. And so I don't know how all these pieces about how, you know, it was impacting him in particular, how we had our workman's comp set up and our insurance and all that, but that you all would go to work together and be like, our policies, we're seeing that this doesn't fit our values and how we want to treat our employees in this moment, and how do we come together, all of our pieces, and make sure that we take care of of them well. And so I just want to thank all of you involved in that, and it says so much about your teamwork and your values as an employer that you would take care of Officer Davis like this and make sure that all employees in the future have this option.
Just one more thing I may have forgotten to mention, clarification. This is no cost to the city because the employee would choose to accept their workers' comp paycheck and remit that to the city in exchange for to be continued to stay on our payroll. So it's a net zero pretty much with city will not be out any money. So
Thank you very much, Mr. Meisel, and your entire team. Thank you, Aaron, your team. Great job. Roll call, please.
Beasley Brown.
Yes.
Hill.
Yes.
Perigin.
Yes.
Bailey.
Yes.
Alcott.
Yes. Ordinance number BG 2023-17, first reading, non-binding.
Ordinance rezoning real estate. Ordinance rezoning tracts of land containing 14.36 acres from RS1D single-family residential to RS1C single-family residential and RM4 multifamily residential located at 0 Rodeo Lane and a portion of 0 Russellville Road presently owned by 2J2V LLC.
So moved.
By Commissioner Perigin, seconded by Commissioner Hill. Mr. Meisel.
Planning Commission met on June 1st. There were 5 of the 8 members present for this hearing, this case. This was a 5-0 vote in favor of the rezoning, going from single-family residential to single-family C, which is a little more denser, and RM4 multifamily. This is owned by 2J2V LLC, care of Jody Allen. This is out, we think is rodeo and not rodeo, so, but that's up for grabs. But recommend approval, and Ben Peterson is here, can answer any questions you might have on this rezoning.
Thank you, Mr. Meisel. Commissioners? Okay. No questions at this time. Roll call, please.
Beasley Brown.
Yes.
Hill.
Yes.
Perigin.
Yes.
Bailey.
Yes.
Alcott.
Yes. Ordinance number BG 2023-18, first reading, non-binding.
Ordinance rezoning real estate. Ordinance rezoning a tract of land containing 1.645 acres from HI Heavy Industrial to HB Highway Business located at 0 Louisville Road, presently owned by Scotty's Development Company LLC with AutoZone Development LLC as the applicant.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Perigin, seconded by Commissioner Hill. Mr. Meisel.
At the June 15th Planning Commission meeting, 6 of the 8 members were present to hear this case. It was a 6-0 unanimous vote for the rezoning of this piece of property on Louisville Road and Brenner Street for the AutoZone development and Scotty's Development Company rezoning it from heavy industrial to highway business. And again, Ben Peterson is here, can answer any questions on this one.
Okay, Commissioners, questions? It's time. Roll call.
Beasley Brown.
Yes.
Hill.
Yes.
Perigin.
Yes.
Bailey.
Yes.
Alcott.
Yes. Ordinance number BG 2023-19, first reading, non-binding.
Ordinance rezoning real estate. Ordinance rezoning a tract of land containing 0.4335 acre from RS1A single-family residential to RS1D single-family residential located at 0 University Drive, presently owned by MNM LLC.
So moved.
Second.
By Commissioner Hill, seconded by Commissioner Perigin. Mr. Meisel.
This again was on the June 15th meeting at the Planning Commission. 6 of the 8 members were present, eligible to vote on this, and it was a unanimous vote to change from RS1A to RS1D over on University Drive. This is, again mentioned, owned by MNM, care of Matt Fuqua, and Ben Peterson can answer any questions you might have on this one.
Questions at this time? None. Roll call, please.
Beasley Brown.
Yes.
Hill.
Yes.
Perigin.
Yes.
Bailey. Alcott.
Yes. Ordinance number BG 2023-14. This was tabled at our last meeting's first reading, non-binding.
Ordinance rezoning real estate. Ordinance rezoning tracts of land containing 22.96 acres from GB General Business and HB Highway Business and LI Light Industrial to PUD Planned Unit Development located at 0, 1710, 1740, 1798, 1844, 1900, 1902, 1904, 1936, 1940, 1970, 1992, 2010, 2040, and 2140 River Street, presently owned by Digs on the River LLC.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner Perigin. Mr. Mizel.
Yes, Mayor. We have Leda Becker with us tonight, serving as our translator for this item. So I would like to recommend that you all allow her time to translate as you make comments and statements. And so she's in the back of the room. So let's slow down and give her time to.
Okay, and I'm going to add a
And
caveat.
I'm not slowing down myself, probably.
So due to this as a planning and zoning item, this is not an open item for the general public to talk to. If you want to, you can sign up and talk at the end of the meeting. So the people allowed by law, because of this judicial process, because no new information can be added or submitted because it had to go through the planning and zoning first, are the people that talked at the last commission meeting. So we had several people that talked. I know you're probably here, but we are going to give you the opportunity to address the commission again, and we will give also Leda opportunity to translate for anyone that has asked for her services tonight, as Jeff stated. But this is not open for the public to make comment unless you were at the previous commission meeting. Thank you.
Mayor, are you saying previous planning commission meeting or city commission meeting?
So I've talked to Hillary.
Yeah.
And we will allow all those that spoke at the last commission
commission
meeting.
meeting.
The city commission meeting.
One that spoke at the planning commission, except for one gentleman spoke last time here. If he's here and wants to speak again, he can.
Right.
But
We're
that,
making that allowance.
right, but it
because
would only be that one
He didn't
person.
add anything that wasn't stated at the planning and
Correct.
zoning.
Correct.
But this is not open for general public. All right, and just for the audience, you're going to state, well, the landowner, the attorneys, they were at the planning and zoning, and they were not here at the last meeting, but they are allowed to speak on this issue as well. Okay, it's open. If we would like to start out with the developer, I think that would be a good way to start.
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners. I'll try to keep my pace slow. I'll probably struggle with that. I'm Chris Davenport. I represent the Hanks family that are seated here to my left. They are not just the developers. I want to stress they're the owners of the property. And before I say a few points about the application, there is a little bit of housekeeping that I want to address.
Give her a moment.
Yes.
Chris, thank you.
I've run afoul of the rules early.
Leda, if you need a pause, just raise your hand and I'll give a pause to the speaker.
So the first thing I need to do is withdraw from the application the address of 1940 River Street. Amongst the many addresses that were included, that's a very small parcel that was included in error. So I've talked to Mr. Moore about that. We just need to withdraw that parcel from the rezoning. The second thing I need to do is offer an additional condition of development that was presented to the Planning Commission. If you adopt the recommendation of the Planning Commission, this, along with, I think, about 14 other conditions, would be conditions of the development. This condition would read, and I quote, "Provided any current tenant remains compliant with all current lease terms, no such tenant shall be displaced strictly for development purposes prior to July 31, 2024, or without 90 days' notice." That is a direct attempt by my clients to try to address, I think, some of the concerns that were voiced in front of this body at the first attempt to read this ordinance, and give Mr. Childers and some of the fine staff that you have in your city an opportunity to explore some of those programs that we have available. And what that condition would mean is that, assuming they are paying their lease payment and they are compliant, they know they will not be asked to relocate for a year. In addition, when we get to July of 2024, they will be given at least 90 days' notice, assuming they are compliant with their lease terms. With that, there are just a couple points about the application and the Planning Commission's recommendation that I would like to accentuate. First, it was a unanimous recommendation of the Planning Commission. Which followed a recommendation for approval by the staff of the Planning Commission. And the last thing I want to point out is I think most of the discussion tonight will revolve around the property's current use as a mobile home park. That current use is actually a non-conforming use. I want to make sure that the City Commission understands that property is owned light industrial as we sit here today. I believe the reason that that use continues is because it's been that use for so long that it was likely grandfathered in. But given the property's current zoning, any light industrial use would be allowed as a matter of right as of today. We believe that the intended development would be a better use of that gateway into our downtown area as opposed to a light industrial use. And while that intended use going forward would not be consistent with the current mobile home park, we hope that the concession that's been made will really help those tenants have some peace of mind and prepare for the future as we get closer to those dates. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions you all might have.
I believe we have a question.
So, Mr. Davenport, if I understood correctly, this goes forward, the earliest the people would have to move is July 31st, 2024, but then 90 days on top of that, so it'd be October, end of October, give or take, 2024?
If they receive notice within 30 days of July 31st, excuse me, within 90 days, it could be July 31st.
Okay.
Those are two conditions, both of which must be met. So the assumption, Commissioner Hill, is that they are compliant with their lease obligations. And it's important to note their current lease obligations, which means the owners can't change that rent payment to make it impossible for them to meet it in the meantime. It's basically just keeping things the way they are.
So they will know if they have to move on July 31st, 2024. They will know 90 days before that.
That's correct.
Thank you for that clarification.
Can I ask a procedural question, a legal one? So, because this is new information that the residents are learning about right now, about this new condition, how does that work around their comments? Does that make sense? Are they legally allowed then to ask a question about this new planning development recommendation because this is new information that they have just now? Do they get equal time to respond to it?
Well, this is just a voluntary condition that they are agreeing to. It's not something that we can require. So I don't know legally, it's just something they're volunteering to add as part of the rezoning. It doesn't change the Planning Commission's recommendation. It doesn't change what our review is. It's just something they're adding to try to help the residents relocate. So I don't know that there would be any particular questions. I think that they've been aware that there was going to be a timeline in place, and I don't think legally it changes our review of this rezoning.
Yep. Oh.
don't think it allows additional people to speak or to ask questions related to this. I think it's just something that they're agreeing to do to try to help alleviate the residents' fears and to give them some sort of timeline to look toward.
Commissioners.
Mr. Davenport, just to kind of find out, I guess if they don't hear by December, I guess January or June 31st, within those 90 days, let's say if they have them and they talk to them within 89 days, would that then give them basically 3 months to October to vacate that premises?
So, I'm not sure I follow the years you were referring to, Commissioner Bailey.
So you said earlier that basically July 31st, if we give them about 90 days, that if they have to vacate, or at that some point they got to vacate the premises or have to be in action to leave that premises. But let's say that instead of giving them 90 days, they send out some type of notice within 89 days.
Wouldn't satisfy the 90 days.
So they'll give them more time than at least October at that point?
So let's say they gave a notice on May 1 of 2024. The earliest then that they could require them to be out would be 90 days from May 1, regardless of whenever that falls. So my dates may be wrong, but I think 90 days from July 31 should be April 31 or April 30 or somewhere right in there. So let's say the notice goes out May 7th. That's not 90 days from July 31st. So the earliest they could be asked to relocate would be 90 days from that notice. There's two parts to this requirement. One is for the residents to know, as long as they're compliant with their lease obligations, they have a home, they are renting for my clients until July 31, 2024, period. Second of all, assuming they are compliant with their lease terms, they cannot be asked to leave for redevelopment purposes in less than 90 days. So it's like a rolling 90 days once we get to July 31st.
I'm out.
So this gives me, I guess, a follow-up question. What happens, I guess, to those residents who have, well, I guess, contractual lease that could be longer than a year? Is there a plan in place to basically make sure that they're whole?
Those tenants that have a lease for longer than a year,
Yes.
none of these tenants have a lease for longer than a year, Commissioner Bailey.
I understand that from what you're telling us already, that it's already zoned light industrial.
Correct.
So is it right for me to believe that even if we do nothing today, they still could basically ask the residents on the land to leave and basically place something within that property that's zoned light industrial?
That's correct, Commissioner Bailey. They would have to go through a forcible detainer process. which could be as quick as 30 days. And that, sorry. And I would say, Commissioner Bailey, to my client's credit, that's not something they did prior to the rezoning request. That's not something this board would necessarily be aware of. I would say that type of action is not uncommon with developers. But my clients did not do that, and they don't wish to do that today. They didn't do that in the last month. But they've made this overture and agreed to this obligation to do what they can for these tenants.
This is my last question, and it is mainly more of a humanitarian type question, but would the owners even consider possibly giving like some type of fair market value towards those trailers for the families, so when they are displaced?
So I'm going to answer your question, and I hope this is not a non-answer. The question you asked is, would they consider it? And I will tell you they will consider it. They will talk to these folks when the time comes on a case-by-case basis. But I'm not offering that as a condition, Commissioner Bailey. And the reason I'm not is I don't think it would be proper for this legislative body to require that type of commercial conduct between an applicant and a third party. So as I told the Planning Commission, that would be an act of benevolence on my client's part. And I mean it when I say it. I've talked to the Hanks. They will entertain those talks. But I do not want to give the false impression that that is some condition. I don't think that is a condition this body or the Planning Commission could require legally, and I don't think I've got any business agreeing to something that would likely be void, even if it was agreed to.
Follow-up question to Commissioner Bailey's question. I think what makes this case so unique, it's not like an apartment building where it's assumed, a temporary status, with it being a mobile home park where some of the residents own the mobile home that's sitting on the land, and so that they also have equity in this property here. I think it makes it a unique hardship that they have been investing in this home, and then now, because of what we understand is the age of the mobile homes, that they are not able to take this investment that they made and then put it on a new piece of property. So I understand that, legally, of course, we cannot require that to be a part of the planning conditions. But would it be possible for you to at least confer with your clients to see if they would be willing to add that just as their own volition as a part of these planning conditions in regards to those that own their trailer, so not the folks renting a trailer, but those that do own a mobile home on this property, if they would commit to paying those folks fair market value for that mobile home?
A couple points, Commissioner Beasley Brown. None of the mobile homes that are located in this property are owned by my client. So let's make sure we're clear that. They bought this property in 2017. This property long predates their purchase of it. So there is no disparity between the different mobile homes. Secondly, I would point the commission to the record before the Planning Commission because this topic was discussed. It was discussed specifically by Mr. Hamp Moore. I think I probably opined on it. And what you'll hear in that record is that mobile homes are personal property, and they are not real property, and they are not considered fixtures to real property. So, Commissioner, when you mention equity and someone earning equity, the only stakeholders to the real estate are my clients. And so that's what's in the Planning Commission record. And I really want to point to the record that you have before you. And that's why I really want to stress that. Though that testimony, those comments are in that record. And really what you've posed is, I receive as the same suggestion or question as Commissioner Bailey. To agree to that condition would be to me, is the same as the condition Commissioner Bailey suggested or asked if we would consider, and that is, will there be some required monetary exchange between the developer and this third party? And I will reiterate, I believe that is a condition that they should not agree to, and I do not think would be, frankly, I think it would be void if that was a condition of the rezoning.
The other thing I would say is that us requesting him to go talk to his client and then to come back in here and to commit to that, by definition, is not him volunteering to do that. So it sounds a lot like a quid pro quo. If we're going to do this rezoning, will you agree to pay them? And I think that creates a problem.
The one, just, I guess, point of disagreement, I would say just in terms of how we describe this property of the mobile home, I hope that our laws and our policies and how we view property, we wouldn't equate someone's home, the roof over their head, as the same sort of property value as a bicycle or a car. I do think this is profoundly it's a part of, you know, your ability to survive is to have a roof over your head. And so I do think there seems to be in the laws and regulations we have, that we have decided that a mobile home has the same value as a car or a bicycle. That sounds like something maybe we need to reconsider. That's probably a state or a federal classification, but I think these families deserve for the roof over their head to be considered a home and protected and valued as such.
If no further questions, I thank you all. Allow me to be here tonight. Thank you.
All right, I had one more question
ma'am.
regarding, so it mentioned in the new development that there's going to be a walkway, a boardwalk style, and it mentioned something about completing a greenway we have in the area, and so I wasn't sure if that's going to be, that walkway on the property is just for their residents, or if that's going to be a public access for the riverfront.
Connected to the riverfront, and it's connected to the sidewalks on River Street. And so just as a little bit about the project, this is a mixed-use development. So it's got multifamily housing, commercial, retail, office space, and as a part of this process, I learned from staff that there are plans for a greenways trail, I didn't know this, from Bowling Green to Mammoth Cave. It's pretty ambitious. That would be really cool, to ride your bicycle to Mammoth Cave. But what my client has committed is to be a part of that and to build this as a part of that, at least on their property. I heard Mr. Powell speak earlier about an elevated walkway on Jennings Creek. These plans actually include a similar elevated walkway on the river. So there's a lot of environmental, we'll have to make sure we do that right, and staff will work with them, I'm sure. But that, I did want to echo that, having heard that from Mr. Powell earlier, that would be a component of this project as well.
I have some follow-up questions for Mr. Peterson, too.
So, okay, thank you, Mr. Davenport.
Thank you all very much.
All right, so we'll have Mr. Peterson join.
Thank you, Mr. Peterson, for being here tonight to answer these questions. So I feel like it's important to just clarify sort of the decision we're making this evening, because there's these different, levels of things we're talking about. So for our collective clarification, part of this sort of development that they're thinking about, part of it is commercial with restaurants and businesses and those things. I'm under the understanding that under its current zoning of light industrial where the mobile home park is located, they could go ahead, even if we all voted no today, my understanding is that this is under current zoning, they can move forward with those parts of their development on that land. Is that correct in my understanding?
So under the current zoning, they would not be able to do exactly what they have proposed this evening because of the mixture of uses, the nature of the use. That's why they're going to a planned unit, proposing to go to a planned unit development. But they would be able to redevelop it with any number of uses that are allowed under the industrial zone. And it's a great number of mix of uses, but not quite in the configuration that the developer is proposing. That's why they're asking for the rezoning.
So they may have, oh, go ahead, Leila. So just to clarify, they would not be able to put a mixed-use building on that location, but they could make it all, business and commercial and restaurants, and that part of their proposal could move forward on that property, even if we all voted no this evening under current zoning.
That is correct. Likewise, they would be able to redevelop the mobile home park as to continue those grandfathering rights as well. So, but in general, yes, they would be able to redevelop it at any time under, as long as they met the current development plan requirements.
My understanding is that the way we are required to vote on this rezoning is that we look at our comprehensive plan and the guidelines that our community has set forth about when there is a rezoning. Does this fit all of the requirements that we have set forth as how we're going to use land in the future? And my understanding from the record is that they had fulfilled all of those requirements, and that everything was in compliance, and that's why that was a unanimous record, because in terms of what the rubric of which we have to use to make our decision, that it fits in with what our community has set forth as being approved by our guidelines. Is that a correct understanding?
That's a very good assessment. Basically, to boil it down, the Planning Commission looked at that record, looked at the requirements, and has recommended to you approval, that you approve this based on everything you just said.
So then I have just one follow-up question, if anyone else has a call.
Mr. Peterson, I only have two questions. We mentioned about Mr. Davenport earlier, basically said that this was grandfathered in, and I guess when it was changed, I guess to light industrial many years ago. So my first question is basically, in that area that we're looking at, the density, or how many, I guess, other trailer parks are in that area that we're looking at currently? I'm only aware of the one trailer park and the almost 23 acres that are proposed to be redeveloped. I apologize, it will be actually the extra one. I guess, are you aware that if there were other trailer parks in the past prior to the, I guess, change to light industrial?
And I don't know, it's my understanding that this was developed sometime in the sixties as the trailer park. Zoning came some point after that time. When zoning comes after an existing use, that's when it incurs those grandfathering rights or it's existing non-conforming.
A last question, I guess if we agree, or if we vote on it and we vote yes, or even no, how will the rezoning impact the existing infrastructure such as transportation, utilities, and other services in that area currently?
So typically with any development, and this one's no exception, that the infrastructure is usually greatly improved in an area where a new development comes in. Typically there's water and sewer lines that need replacing or upgrading to serve the new development. Sometimes there's roadway improvements. Most of those are captured in the 20-plus development plan conditions that are being proposed with this. But then others come up during the engineering design phase when they start designing the site and figuring out how these improvements are actually going to be constructed, how the sewer lines are going to run to the new buildings, those types of things. So typically the infrastructure is improved.
This may be for Chris or the family here. Article in the paper. Now, we're not supposed to get a lot of information outside of what we get in our packets, but of course the article is in the paper. So I guess I'm able to speak to that. Is that true?
And in the paper, information that came out of the hearing? Well, then, yes.
I think so.
Yeah.
I'm not positive because I wasn't in the hearing, but I do have the packet and read all that. Is it my understanding from the article in the paper and from a published letter that the Hanks family has sent to each individual property owner that they are willing to sit down individually and work through and help these folks as best they can? Is that, I think that's rather generous and really wonderful.
Yes,
But-
Commissioner Perigin, I think that basically falls in line with what Commissioner Bailey asked. Would they consider, and as I told him, on a case-by-case basis, they're going to try to work with folks.
Yeah.
They have expressed to me, that maybe they didn't anticipate this as much, and they wish they would have talked some sooner. I know they've talked in the meantime. I've tried to tell them not to be too hard on themselves, frankly, because what I typically see from developers is they relocate people before they ever go to the planning commission. And they have felt somewhat, I think, defensive that they're not, quote, expert developers. They've been accumulating this land on River Street for decades. I believe Mr. Hanks was kind of a driving force to renaming that from Old Louisville Road to River Street.
Was?
So I've tried to tell them not to be too hard on themselves. The phrase I used at the Planning Commission was benevolence. And I believe they have benevolence. And I think they intend, as you've suggested, to continue to communicate and do the best they can to coordinate this with these folks.
As a landlord myself with 8 units, we get to know our folks that live in our places. We visit them once a month and mow their yards and do all those things, and, you know, obviously you get a relationship. And I can only imagine that this is tough on this group and this group. But the willingness to sit down with each individual property owner and work through solutions, I don't know that that's, you know, offering money for their unit. I'm not suggesting that at all. What I'm suggesting is it's a one-on-one, and I think we mentioned last commission meeting that our folks are willing to do that as well. Jeff offered to be the point person for job training opportunities. I know Brent, I think he's met with the family and offered solutions for housing that we have in our portfolio here in Bowling Green, Kentucky already. And those things are things that you have to apply for, and you have to do it in a timely manner. So I think I said the last time I was here is put your name on these lists, please. I'm begging, put your name on these lists and start this process.
Hank's hope is
Let
that.
her,
We hope that the time we've set aside here facilitates those discussions. And the last thing I'll say is my compliments and thanks to the interpreter. She's doing a heck of a job.
Before you sit, just want to clarify, with or without this Board of Commission's approval tonight, and this is statement I want a verification for, the owners still have the right to terminate the leases, correct?
Yes, they have that legal right in as quick as 30 days. That's a legal fact.
I'm going to say thanks to the Hanks family for being so benevolent and for being caring developers now, and for willingness to sit down and work with these folks, because we just hear that you don't have to be here, honestly. So, you know, this is. Oh, go ahead.
At this time, if we have members that spoke the last time, we'll,
Oh, I'm so sorry. I have another question.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Sorry, I was going questions by speaker. So I have a question for Ms. Hightower, our attorney. Obviously, what's happening to these families, is just we wouldn't, want anyone to experience this uncertainty. And so it's important for me to know before I vote if this application is, fulfills all the requirements of the law of rezoning, are we allowed to consider their situation in how we vote this evening?
You are not. You all sit as a quasi-judicial board solely to review the finding of the Planning Commission, and that finding has to be based on the land use, which is, does this proposed development fit within the comprehensive plan? So I know you all have reviewed that hearing. I know you've reviewed their findings. For you to not accept the Planning Commission's recommendation, and we've been down that road before, you have to find facts in that record that support a finding that this is not consistent with the comprehensive plan. So while I do know it pulls at heartstrings, it's difficult, it is not legally something that you can consider in your decision.
Okay, so we'd like to allow those that came to speak up at this moment.
Before I say anything, I would like to ask, so no new information from the last time can be brought forth, so I cannot be allowed to give you any updates.
Hey, so you're here, you were at the commission, you were at the last commission meeting, you were at the previous one, the planning and zoning. You're allowed to speak.
My name is Rebecca Foyles. I reside at 1798 River Street, sorry, lot 50. Last time that we spoke, there were many good opportunities, Section 8, a housing opportunity, and the possibility of grandfathering. I took all of those under consideration. For the last 30 days, I have checked into all of these for as many of my neighbors because many of them work. I am here to tell you the update of what you have offered. Section 8 housing and the Housing Authority has a 5 to 6 year waiting list. Now, understanding that this has a 5 to 6 year waiting list, both of these programs, and we are only allowed a vague possibility of 1 year. The plausibility of any one of us getting far enough up onto that list within that 1 year is like a 5% chance. Secondly, grandfathering. Yes, about 5 or 6 of them have the ability to move out of the trailer park. However, due to the recent ruling of all the other trailer parks, they will not accept anything other than off-the-line housing, straight off-the-line housing. So even if we did have the ability to move our homes, no trailer park in the county would accept it. So that would just be a waste of money. And I have been searching for 2 years prior to this. So a lot of what, I've already done research in it. It's not plausible with the ability of the budget of what we are in right now. It's not even plausible with the minimum requirement of state budget. Now, what I mean by that is the minimum wage is $7.25. Times that by 40, times that by 4. That is only $1,160 a month. Divide that by 3, that is only 386. We'll round it to 6. There's too many cents. So that's 386. Almost everything that I have looked at is over $900. We don't have that. There is no low-income housing. This was the last stop for a lot of people. And there are actually a handful of people who cannot go onto HUD housing lists because they were already signed up. They hit this as a Plan B, and as a penalty of having another Plan B and not taking on that is they have a 6 to 8 year penalty where they cannot sign up for housing again, not until that time is over. So that's also non-existent for some families. We are at our wits' end. A lot of us have pooled our brains together for the past 2 years prior to all of this. We still haven't found anything. Closest thing is Northbrook. However, you would have to rent to buy or buy to rent. I can't think of it right now. But you would have to buy it. Normally in real estate, you would buy you would sell the home that you already have in order to have the funds to put a down payment for something else. We do not have that either because our homes aren't even at market value. If you were to take the year that most of our homes are, plus the depreciated value of our homes, the market value of our homes is nothing, absolutely nothing. Our homes have a more priceless value to us. A lot of people have different definitions of wealth. My definition of wealth is things that you cannot buy. The things that you cannot buy is true wealth, because you can't take that back. It can't be taken from you. Well, some things can. But I'm here to tell you that we have not been idle. We have been looking around. Sky Properties, the lowest that they have is $938. The rest of them are over $1,000. That's more than a lot of us would get in 1 month period, and that's only for one bill. We have several other bills. We have to be able to make sure that we can make the car payment and insurance payments just to be able to get to work and to appointments. We need phones in order to communicate. We need heating, which that's another pain in the butt when it comes to deposits. We have taken in the long list of what it would take to move and to get something else. We do not have that. We do not have that. I just wanted to let you know, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to look into a few things, but what you have said is non-existent. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Becca.
right, I know we had Mrs. Colorado speak, and she's, Mrs. Colorado, will you pull down the microphone to you?
Just give me a minute.
Yes, ma'am.
The last time that I spoke, I told that my daughter were going to surgery. They just told me the day is gonna be July the 27th. She's gonna be completely asleep. They're going to remove something from her ear and they're going to test it. Plus, they found something on her, inside her mouth, that she's not be able to speak. Like I say, my name is Kayla Colorado. I live on Kentucky Gardens, lot number 31. They had promised us a lot of things, but there's no resolution. Many of my neighbors, they don't have the resource to move our trailers to another place. Some of them are single mothers, and some of us have kids, boys and girls with special needs. Many of them don't qualify to obtain properties that, just give me a second. They don't have the, they don't qualify to obtain the properties to move to another place. Some of them work, we don't get paid a lot. The only money that we have will be $500, that's minimum. That's the only thing to pay our parking lot and our other bills. And we don't have, minimum, we have only $30 to buy groceries, and that's not enough. Many families are bigger. They have, the house is really huge, like with 4 kids and stuff like that. Please help us. We don't know what else to do. As me and for myself, as my kids, they ask me all the time. They ask me, Mama, what's going on? Why are we moving? Why they want to kick us out? And you know what's my response? I tell them they don't like us. They don't want us there. They don't want us to live there. My kids suffer a lot of bullying because of my kids' special kids. They call them dumb. They call them stupid. They call them retarded. And plus, to find out that they're going to kick us out, how do you think that made me feel? I feel that I'm not a worthy mother. Please, help us. We don't want to lose our house. I've been living there for 19 years. I see my kids raised there. I see my kids playing outside on the parking lot. I see my kids play with other kids. Just think about it. What would you do if they told you that you only have that amount of time to get out of your house? We can afford a house. We can. Please deny it. I'm begging you, please, from the bottom of my heart. I don't know what else to do. I don't know if you want me to beg, I will beg, but please don't. Please.
Thank you, Mrs. Mrs. Colorado.
Ella dice que su hija va a tener cirugía ahorita el 27 y que la van a poner a dormir y le van a quitar algo del oído y se lo van a probar. Ella supo ahorita que la niña no va a poder hablar. Mi nombre es Keila Colorado, yo vivo en el lote 31. Nos prometieron muchas cosas y nosotros como vecinos no tenemos los recursos, no nos podemos mover. Muchos de nosotros somos padres solteros, tenemos niños con necesidades especiales, no calificamos en nuestras propiedades para mudarnos, trabajamos pero no nos pagan mucho dinero, algunos cobramos $500 al mes y para pagar el lote y otros biles que tenemos y solamente nos quedan como $30 para las comidas. Algunos tenemos familias más grandes como de 4 niños o más. Por favor, ayúdenos. Mis hijos me preguntan todos los días, mamá, ¿qué pasa? ¿Por qué nos vamos a mover? Y yo no sé qué decirles. Les digo que no nos quieren ahí, la gente nos hace bullying porque los niños son especiales, nos dicen que somos bobos, estúpidos, retardados. Y yo me pataleo porque soy una madre, me siento que sin poder. Llevo 19 años viviendo ahí, criándolos ahí en ese lugar, los veo jugando afuera. Por favor, nosotros no podemos seguir, les ruego, no sabemos qué hacer, por favor, no nos muevan.
Daisy, correct. What was your name, ma'am?
I spoke first.
I remember you spoke, so.
Yes.
But you said Pamela Morris?
Hannah Morse.
Hannah Morris, thank
Yes.
you.
First, I want to say thank you guys so much for all your comments, for your attempted help, for your even just tabling the last, meeting was really helpful in us being able to gather a lot of new information. I also do want to say thank you to the Hanks for their start of a help, for their start of a communication. And I really do hope that we can continue that. But it's kind of only a hope. Like you guys have said, you can't force them to do anything. You can't make them do anything, which is heartbreaking. But we're also blessed to have the community resources that you guys have offered. And I hope you see that we have tried, that we have looked. And we're still trying. We haven't given up on that. A lot of us still have looked. But also just because we live in that situation and we're in hard times right now doesn't mean that we qualify for those resources. But just because we don't qualify doesn't mean that we're in a position to just up and move and go find a new house or a new home or a new rented apartment or whatever. I also know, based on your questions and the attorney's answers, kind of where we're going to end up today. And that there's not a lot of things that you guys can do about that. So I just wanted to make some just general comments for record for my peace of mind. When you mention the staff vote that you guys kind of go off on, sitting here and listening, it kind of sounds like, based on how it's already zoned, it wasn't even taken into consideration that tenants live there. And I know that the first time I spoke at the zoning and planning meeting, that they did not know that tenants lived on the physical property that was being rezoned. So that being said, also with it being called not real property, and just however you want to phrase that, we do have parcel numbers. And just a little bit of Googling, parcel numbers are a number given to people who own real property. We've already done research on that. We've already done, here are the names that match up with every single property on this, yes, thank you. On this property, every single property on this location matches to an owner, to a parcel number who could possibly get a VIN for that home. And I don't know if that makes it a real home or real property, but to me that says that's mine. I can lay claim, and I should have some type of recursion for giving that to you, is basically what they're asking, whether it be 90 days from now, 30 days from now, a year or two, however much time you want to put on it, you're still asking me to forfeit the place that I've been living, the place that I've had my kids, the place that I've put money and work and time into. So, like I said, I hope that they stick to their word. I hope that they come to us with more than just this 1 year leave, 1 year be evicted. I don't want to have to take it further than you guys. I don't want to have to take it judicially, but I don't think we're afraid to, and I just kind of want everybody to know that we are still pretty firm on whatever you choose to call it. It's my house, it's my property, it's my money. I would also like to make a comment on the lease situation that I know was asked about earlier. Unless you have moved onto the property in the time that the Hanks have owned it, your lease has not been updated. Most of us, some of us, have a lease with the previous property owner. So, and that's probably null and void. But that wasn't our decision. That wasn't even, kind of aware to us. I've been told, because I didn't live there at that time, I moved in with my fiance, but he lived there before the Inks owned it, and he kind of just received a letter that this new person now owns your property. And that was all that was ever said until now. Sorry. I also just want it to be said that, just going back to you guys' help and the community's help, and that there are HUD and Section 8, that those are long wait times. And I understand that maybe we could get bumped, maybe we couldn't, maybe some people apply for those, maybe some people that's not available to them. I don't want us to be discriminated individually against, oh, well, you're getting HUD housing, so I don't have to do anything for you. I don't want those just that aren't applicable for that to get the help. Also, again, I'm very glad that the Hanks are here. I'm very glad to see that they're trying. They have come to us on, this one occasion, but until now, I've never met Joy Hanks. And Eddie Hanks, I've only ever talked to because there was a city issue or a city fine that needed to be taken care of. So that, I just want to put that out there so you guys know the type of communication that has been in the past and why we have so many hesitations as far as, is this really going to happen? Is this, okay, I'll go and say what needs to be said, and then we'll kind of figure out what I actually need to do. I just want everybody to be aware as much as possible. But again, just for you guys' actual vote and maybe some progress that we can actually get today, I am curious if the staff not knowing that there were tenants on the land makes any kind of difference in your vote, whether that be a comment or a question, however that needs to be stated. Again, we're not wanting to stop the development. We're not wanting to bring Bowling Green down because we're the only trailer park left on this side of town or whatever that is or whatever. We just don't want to be homeless. I mean, purely and without a doubt, the definition of the word, without a home, whatever you choose to call it, is what we would be if we don't get some kind of legal, factual, guaranteed help. So, thank you guys.
mucha más información y claro, le quiero agradecer a la familia Hanks por haber comenzado la comunicación y yo sé que esto es una esperanza pero que no los pueden forzar y por los recursos en la comunidad, como ella había dicho, hemos intentado buscar, no nos vamos a dar por vencido, pero muchos de nosotros no calificamos y no estamos en la posición de podernos mudar y tenemos muchas preguntas y por eso estamos aquí y tenemos todas estas inquietudes y quería comentarles al personal, ustedes no sabían y no tomaron en consideración cuando tuvieron esta reunión de que habían inquilinos que vivían en esta propiedad, no sabían los del departamento de certificación que teníamos inquilinos que vivían aquí y para el récord esta propiedad que sea real, hay cada una persona que tiene esta propiedad tiene un nombre a cada una de estas propiedades y es una propiedad de verdad, es mi propiedad y por el dado hecho que entre 90 días yo se las tenga que entregar, aquí es donde viven mis hijos, yo he invertido dinero, tiempo y necesitamos que ellos nos den su palabra, no solamente que nos tengamos que mudar en un año y no estamos asustados o no tenemos miedo de tomar otra acción porque esta es mi casa y la situación con el contrato les queremos decir que el contrato que tenemos muchos de nosotros era con el propietario anterior y ese contrato ya no sirve para nada cuando solamente nos entregaron una carta diciendo que esta propiedad era de otras personas y nosotros necesitamos ayuda, si no tengo la información de la sección 8 y que hay mucha espera, pero no queremos que nos discriminen por el dado hecho de que unas personas puedan aplicar por esos programas y las otras no y por eso quiero decir que estamos muy alegres que la familia Hanks esté con nosotros, pero esta es la primera vez que yo conozco a Joy Hanks, nunca la había conocido antes, a Eddie sí lo había conocido anteriormente por una multa que tuvimos en una situación de la ciudad, pero esta es la única comunicación que hemos tenido hasta el momento con nosotros las familias de parte de los propietarios y espero que ellos no piensen que ustedes se den cuenta de que si esta es la única comunicación que ellos pueden prometer de que vaya a ser la diferencia. No nos queremos quedar sin hogar porque la definición de quedarnos sin hogar necesitamos la garantía de que nos van a ayudar y una garantía de forma legal.
Mary, if you may, before we move on, I guess to the next speaker, Ms. Morris, I guess great presentation, how you talked. This is going to Mr. Davenport and Ms. Hightower. She alluded to basically when the change had occurred. Do we know just the date when the change had occurred to light industrial? Because she was talking about like, she's not aware of when the change had occurred, when people were living on that area. Do you know the year?
2001
It was almost 20 years ago.
shows the property history in the report. It was rezoned from ag and B4 to light industrial in 1963. And then particularly 1710 River Street was rezoned to general business, 85. If you look in your staff packet, it's page, I think like 3. But it looks like to the light industrial for most of the property, it was 1963. And then the properties were converted from B2, B4, and I1 to general business, highway business, and light industrial in 2001, when the current zoning ordinance was adopted. So that's on the page.
Let her interpret that. Later. Well, this commission has heard from those that allowed to speak. I appreciate everyone's passion about the situation. I have a statement that's to this commission, and I'll allow you to interpret it because I've written it out later. So I'll stop for you if that's okay. This commission has the sworn responsibility to follow the law. I'm giving you ample. No, I'm giving you. This commission has the sworn responsibility to follow the law. The Circuit Court has overturned our commissioner's disapproval of a planning and zoning change twice. The Circuit Court has overturned our commissioner's disapproval of a planning and zoning change twice. And that's during my 2.5 years as being mayor. We are required to approve the zoning change unless there has been a violation of the developer's submission. Our city attorney has stated that she will help our commissioners find valid reasons if there is a reason for overturning. I went to Hillary after this was over, the last one, and I asked her to do that. And she could not find anything for me to overturn. The owners have the right to terminate the lease with or without our board's approval. This board's sole purpose is to approve or overturn the planning and zoning recommendation, and I do not find any means to overturn that. Thank you. This would be the opportunity.
I'll do the same, Leda, if that's best for you. If the laws require me to ignore the impact this decision is going to have on you, we need to change the laws. If the current laws require me to pretend your lives and your homes do not exist, we need to change the laws. Unfortunately, we cannot, by law, deny this application based on the impact to your families. I want you all to know that if I could save your homes, I would. I care deeply about what is happening to you. I have thought and prayed for each of you since we've heard your stories at our last meeting. Because of this extrajudicial process, we are by law barred from speaking to you outside of this meeting while this decision is being made. But I want you to know that I've been checking in with our city staff and making sure that we have, and local organizations have been working with you. And I want to thank the city staff and the organizations that have been going to meet you at your homes and trying to find some solutions. I want to thank those of you who courageously told your stories at our last meeting. You have helped make the impact of the affordable housing crisis real for so many people who have not experienced what you're experiencing. Our homes are the launching pad for a good life. The uncertainty of a safe place to call home impacts every area of our health and well-being. Including our physical health, our job performance, and our kids' academics. I hope this is a turning point in our community. That we come together to make progress on affordable housing for all. Thank you.
Today, I guess, like the mayor and like Commissioner Beasley Brown, there's nothing right now that we can legally do about it. It's not. We heard that it was grandfathered in, and I listened to everybody. I listened to your plight, and I understand like what's going on, and you're like going to be hurt. And I hope they use benevolence, but I hope that it's a good gesture that the Hanks actually do meet with each and every person that's going to be impacted by being displaced. I understand what it is also like to be poor. And I know some of the city commissioners the last time they were saying that everybody has a story, and we do. But the reason why I bring that up is because I've been in those shoes. I spoke with somebody a long time, I guess about a week ago or so, and we were talking about what it meant to be homeless. I didn't even realize at the time that my mother was homeless. When she had to live with her family members and we were sleeping on the couch of her sisters and her brother-in-law on Combs Avenue with my sister, at that time, we were displaced and we were homeless. That being said, I wholeheartedly acknowledge the concerns raised by the residents living in the affected trailers. I understand what it's like to be poor, but also understand you don't have to let things to be static. And I'm hoping that those services, and I know that they haven't listened to you, and you're saying that it's 5 or 6 years away, please keep going towards and try to make something where you can improve your life. And I know that, I think that the city manager mentioned it last time, that we have $3,000 that's available just even to go to SkyTech. And if I'm wrong, please correct me right now. Use those dollars to get ahead. This is talking from a kid, and there's no child that I believe that is dumb. I believe that this is just where they're at this moment. But if you can, and you could try to get ahead, and you can go back to school, what you also heard today from the transport, which was earlier in our program, is that there's going to be 7,000 jobs that's going to be available. And I'm asking and imploring each and every person that has those 7,000 jobs that's going to be available, get that training now, and basically try to go ahead and try to get those jobs. Just because you start out somewhere doesn't necessarily mean that you have to stay there. Trust me, I know. With that said, also, Hannah, I heard you basically said earlier that some may not qualify. And I won't get into the reasons why. So I recognize the decisions that we have to set, and I understand the challenges. as it may seem contradictory to support this change. But as a lawyer, and I'm a lawyer today, this is a kid that grew up poor. This is a kid that had to have someone that basically had to have the stove on just to have the heat to be fed. This is a kid where my mother, at times, had to be fed last just to make sure that my sister and I would eat. I understand all of those things. I understand when I had to get up and I would still be hungry. And the best meal of the day that I would get was going to school just to get those meals. But my God, I didn't allow that static and to be fixed to stay where I was at. So I'm imploring each and every one of you, don't stay where you're at. Let this be a springboard so you can basically bounce to the next level where your children can basically move forward and see the dreams that you basically only could dream of. And Hannah, after seeing you speak, trust me on this. Young lady, you can become whatever you want to be. So don't let it stay stagnant. In the spirit of fostering the fairness and the compassion, I urge the landowners today to consider the difficult position of the residents affected by this change. While I cannot enforce the specific actions to help you guys out, and I wish that I could, I would ask that an act of goodwill if the landowners were to offer a fair market value for each trailer that cannot be relocated, and to provide some type of stipend to support the relocation process for those units that need to find a new homes. By doing so, they can mitigate some of the hardships faced by the affected residents and demonstrate a genuine commitment to the well-being of our community. Moreover, let this situation serve as a stark reminder that our city must urgently address this pressing need to have affordable housing. We need that so much urgent. And listening to everybody here, I can tell you that this is a precursor of what's going to come. We need to address this today because this is going to be looking down the road from 5, 10, 15, 20 years. And we need to do something about that today. Today's events have highlighted the potential crisis that we may face in the future if we fail to develop another comprehensive plan that invests in affordable housing, not just for hundreds, but in thousands of affordable housing. Because today, listening to your stories, people are hurting today. And I don't take what I have to vote on lightly, but I know what legally I have to do. And I have to vote under the comprehensive plan because there hasn't been anything presented that says that the Hanks have violated the comprehensive plan that's there. This moment serves as a call to action for our city to prioritize and allocate some resources to tackle this imminent challenge head on. With that said, I don't take this lightly, and I pledge to always make decisions that consider the character of our neighborhood, to do things as legally that we could possibly do, but also to listen to the concerns of every single person that is here, no matter where you come from. And I understand that the path that we are choosing today does appear contradictory. But I assure you that this result has been carefully evaluated, has been vetted, has been spoken with the city attorney to make sure that we're doing everything that's in our path to make sure that you guys have an outlet, but make sure that there's a fair decision that we're making today for everybody that's involved. One thing that I heard today that is very telling is the grandfathering in. So 2001, and I think that's what you were asking about the change. That was more than 22 years ago when they had that change. Longer than any of us have been on the city commission, longer than some of you guys that are living where you're living at today. With that said, because of that grandfathering in, the Hanks can legally basically change the residents today, even if we do nothing. So even if all of us, all 5 of us voted no, they still could basically change it. You also spoke about that you haven't got a new tenancy. So I'm expecting that you probably have a month-to-month tenancy at this time, which that means is that there's a 30-day notice that they have to give. So at them being the landowners, and I don't see your house as a fixture. I do not. I still see it as a home. When I think of a fixture, I think of some type of an appliance or something else, but it is movable. Legally, that is what it's called, though. But I still think Later, I apologize.
Legalmente quiero que sepan que entonces yo los escuché todos a todos y de verdad estoy muy impactado con las historias que todos leí, pero quiero reiterar que los Hans y la familia, o sea, que siguen con lo que digan y con lo que han prometido el día de hoy. He escuchado las historias de ustedes y créanme, yo he estado en la misma situación que ustedes, he sido indigente, no he tenido hogar, tenía una mamá que no tenía hogar y no me di cuenta en ese momento que nosotros no teníamos una casa donde vivir, que nos estábamos quedando donde la hermana de mi mamá y donde otros parientes. Y aunque he escuchado todas las preocupaciones de los residentes que viven ahí, quiero dejarles saber que ustedes, nosotros tenemos que votar de una manera legal, como nos lo dice por nuestra afición, y queremos decirles que ustedes aún tienen la oportunidad de mejorar sus vidas. Les van a dar posiblemente la oportunidad de coleccionar $3,000 que lo pueden utilizar para su educación. City Manager les dijo eso y ustedes escucharon anteriormente que hay más de 7,000 trabajos disponibles. Pueden recurrir a esa capacitación y ese entrenamiento ahora mismo. Y yo sé exactamente que muchos de ustedes no califican para esa ayuda. No lo voy a mencionar porque entiendo la situación y reconozco el desafío de ustedes. Yo crecí pobre, tuve que comer, que la única comida que tenía era la comida de la escuela, pero no dejen que esta situación sea lo último, que esta situación les dé un resorte para avanzar de esta situación difícil. Y lo que le pido a la familia Hans es que considere, aunque yo no lo puedo poner como condición y no los puedo forzar, que les ofrezca a ustedes el valor de sus casas del mercado y que les dé un dinero para poderse en el proceso de mudarse por la situación tan difícil que ustedes están viviendo. Y esto que sea de un recordatorio que nosotros tenemos una crisis de la vivienda asequible y que esto solamente es lo que, esto viene lo que va a pasar en el futuro porque va a ser peor y que deberíamos considerar en nuestro plan comprensivo de crear viviendas asequibles, no solamente para 100 personas, pero para 1,000 personas. Así que legalmente les quiero decir una vez más que los propietarios no han violado ninguna ley en la presentación del plan y que yo como abogado necesito presentar que aunque nosotros votemos, los 5 de nosotros, en aprobación o negación de este cambio, la familia puede hacer lo que ellos quieran con su propiedad por la zonificación que ya tenía y les puede dar un aviso de 30 días para que ustedes se muevan. Y legalmente eso es el derecho que ellos tienen.
Lady, just one last thing, unless the laws were changed, legally, I have to vote yes on this measure, and that's all.
Y la última cosa que quiero deciros, como las leyes no han cambiado legalmente, yo tengo que votar sí al cambio de esta elección.
Thank you, Commissioner. All right, so no further comments at this time. Ask for a roll call.
Beasley Brown,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Perigin,
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
Alcott.
Yes. Thank you, everybody. Ordinance number BG 2023-15, second reading, binding.
Ordinance rezoning real estate. Ordinance rezoning tracts of land containing 42.92 acres from PUD, Planned Unit Development, to GB, General Business, RM3, Townhouse/Multifamily Residential, and RS1D, Single Family Residential, located at 0 and 4917 Russellville Road, presently owned by West Haven Properties, LLC.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Commissioner Perigin, second by Commissioner Hill. This was a 5-0 from our last from our last commission meeting. Unless there's any further discussion at this time. None, roll call, please.
Beasley Brown,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Perigin,
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
Alcott.
Yes. Ordinance number BG 2023-16, second readings, binding.
Ordinance relating to budget amendment. Ordinance approving amendment number 4 to the City of Bowling Green, Kentucky annual operating budget for fiscal year 2023.
So moved.
Second.
By Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner Perigin. This is also 5-0, our last board commission, unless there's any new discussion. No new discussion. Roll call, please.
Beasley Brown.
Yes.
Hill.
Yes.
Perigin.
Yes.
Bailey.
Yes.
Alcott.
Yes. Municipal order number 2023-148.
Oh, we did.
I'm sorry, I apologize. At this time, we're open for public comments, and this is for those that have signed up. All right, there's no one coming to the podium at this time. Our next meeting will be August 1st, 2023, 4:30 in this commission. We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.